So now I'm going to show you how to use forms in vanilla JavaScript. So basically I have a form here with vanilla JavaScript validation. And so if I submit the form, then we see that this current user view here also shows the values. So how does this work? Okay, so the form itself is just a basic vanilla HTML form like that. And it has a submit handler. And we use the form data to then call this method on the App Store called setCurrentUser. I've modified the App Store now. So instead of just having this one mutation and getter, we have a mutation and getter for both the shared count and the current user. I'm not actually using a shared count right now, just because I'm showing both of these components. So the way that this thing here updates, as you've seen before, it's just a case of dispatching a custom event. And then I've called this thing called the user info view. And so this basically listens to this new event called store current user updated. So now we haven't even, I've removed the other two methods for the dispatching of the updater. So for example, before I was calling that custom event to update the count. Now I'm just calling the mutation methods directly. So on the form here, you can see that we're setting the current user using the App Store set current user, which then calls this custom event. And that's how we communicate to all the other components in the app. So as before, let's just debug this and show you it working. So let's just go to the library here. Actually, as you can see, I'm working on other things as well. Right, so we're just going to put a breakpoint on here. I'm going to click submit. So we see we have this form data. And this has these methods called get. That allows us to pull the value from the inputs. So you can see here this user has this information there. And then we dispatch this. Well, actually, we'll just put a breakpoint in here. So that gets called synchronously. So what's quite interesting is that sometimes these other frameworks like Solid and React, you won't see the updates immediately. You'll see that after the batching operations have completed. We don't have batching here, but I guess 90% of applications don't need batching. It's when multiple parts of the app update the same store value, and then you want then to push the changes, but that's kind of a pretty upper level in complexity. So if we click this submit here, and I'm just going to put a breakpoint here, submit. We're going to step into this function. You can see the set current user, and then when this custom event dispatches, we're going to see when it updates this view. So this is just the mutation function. So now the state current user is set to this one, and then we're going to dispatch that custom event. And you can see here, like even before it exits a function, because the listener from the view is like listening to the DOM element, the code for the render gets executed before even this store has finished the method. So it's like hyper reactivity. I guess there's pros and cons to that, because you can see here on the if you go to the components user info view, this listener here on the document, when the user is updated, we call this render method. In fact, let's just put a breakpoint here and refresh it again just to prove to you that that's working. Okay, so put breakpoint in there, click submit. Oh yeah, because this has an initial render as well, because it renders first time just to say current user, like that. So click submit, and then we're calling that function here, and then it's just coming straight into this render user, and coming back to this store. Cool, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. You can decide how you want to update this into your app. This isn't really a framework, this is basically patterns, and I don't think I will enforce people to use patterns, but like I said before, the only really sort of framework thing is this component loader, and that's just vanilla JavaScript. You have to load the components in some way, and this just provides a method to do it. We also added dark mode, so like if I go into here, click light, we still see that the form updates to light mode. Only a small addition there, to be honest. Let's just go back and turn this dark mode on. We added some CSS and Tailwind dark mode selector on the index. So if we go to the index here, we can see that we have this dark mode for black text white and black background. And then we also added an override for the inputs, because this won't override inputs because of specificity. So we have to put in like an important background color, which will force the things like this to be background black. Cool. Well, next one, I might go into tables, rendering tables and sorting tables and those kind of cool things. Or we might just do like form editing and display views. So that's also quite interesting to do. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.